The final step in order to complete our 3D design using watercolor and contrasting colors to help create the illusion of depth is to paint our final piece. After you've finished inking your final and erasing off your pencil marks, you can prepare your watercolor. You'll need a container of water and a palette with different colors in it. Watercolor paint needs water to get started and to flow. I recommend dipping your brush into the water and then adding that water from your brush into the individual container for the color that you need. Adding just a little water will give you a very opaque or strong color, a color that you can't necessarily see through. Adding more water dilutes the color or makes it not as strong. Transparent, a color that you can see through. To dilute a color, I recommend adding some water into the container for the color that you want to use. Then paint that color in a very small space on the lid of your watercolor palette. After that, add more water to where you painted that color onto the lid. Test out how thin or light the color is on a scrap piece of paper before using it on the final. Once you get the paint lighter by diluting it with water to the exact transparency that you like, you can begin to paint with it. The process of diluting a color with water can be repeated as many times as needed for your piece. When you begin to paint, there are some things to keep in mind when working with watercolor. It is a wet medium and needs time to dry. While it is wet, it bleeds. To avoid colors bleeding into each other, only paint one color at a time, exactly where you planned it to be in each of the repeating designs. Then let it dry completely before you start a new color. Watercolor should not bleed or go outside of the area you paint it in, but still go slow and be careful. To avoid smudging or smearing the watercolor before it dries as you paint, there is a technique I recommend. If you are right-handed, begin painting in the top left corner of your piece and work down to the bottom right. If you're left-handed, begin painting in the top right corner of your piece and work down to the bottom left. Work in this way, remembering to only paint one color at a time and allow it to completely dry before beginning another until the piece is complete. Take your time and go slow. Once your piece is painted and it's 100% dry, gently remove the tape, pulling down at an angle. Erase off your penciled-in border lines and sign the bottom right of your work.